Thank you. Justin?
Just overall impressions of, I know it's only day one, but
Right.
just, what did you like about the quarterbacks and what they showed?
I thought they operated really well, especially the two older ones, Noah and Braden. We've seen the same looks from spring to summer till now, so they actually have a bit of an understanding what they're getting, and they were able to process through things pretty quickly. I think you're at a disadvantage a little bit as an offense when you're not in pads, because the rush, anytime you're going against the defense, the rush just gets on you quicker.
Yeah.
And those guys are big, so they're stand up, right? So the pocket gets collapsed a little bit, so you got to really progress pretty quickly and get the ball out of your hands, which I thought both of them did really well today.
Troy? And then David?
You kind of touched upon it, but Noah specifically compared to where he was with the playbook in the spring to now, just that development process for him being his third different offense in X amount of years.
Yeah, it's like he's been through it for years now. But we've spent a lot of time together, so it's encouraging for me. And I knew this, I expected it, but when you see it, it just gives you more confidence to see, like, okay, our work is paying off. Like, he's operating at a high level, and like I said, it's the very first day. But that was expected from him too, because of the work we put in, the work he's put in on his own, and the work he's put in over the summer. You expected him to operate like he operated today. Now, was he perfect? No. It's first day. There's some things that happen that we got to clean up. Just like I'm sure Aaron Rodgers had to clean up with the Steelers the very first day too. But at the end of the day, I was very pleased with how he operated the offense.
David, in the back to Justin?
So how would you describe your relationship with Josh Miller and just what it means to have a guy on this staff with you that was with you last year when you're coming into a new situation?
Absolutely. That was one of the biggest hires for me. When that came available, that's one guy that I've been at multiple places where I can go to the head coach and I can completely stand on the table for a human being and a coach that the job will get done the right way. And there's not many people, and this is talking to like mentors of mine that I've hired before. Like, you can hire your friends, you can hire people you trust, but sometimes it could go sideways because they're not in it for the right reasons. They're not in it for, to grow and develop. They maybe get an ego at times where, like, Miller, at every place we've been in, this is our fourth place together. Like I said, he's the only one in the world that I can stand on the table and look at a head coach in the eyes and say, this guy is you can't miss, right? He's gonna develop the room. He's gonna recruit at a high level. He's gonna have great relationships with his players, and then he's my right hand. So, like, the reason I'm here is because we had success at Marshall. Well, the reason we had success at Marshall is because Josh Miller played a big role in that. We ran the football really well because Josh Miller helped me game plan that. Josh Miller sat next to me in the box and helped me call it, right? So he is a huge role of why I'm here, and I'm excited to have him here. And if you ask anybody on the staff going through the spring, and obviously it's summer and fall now, but through the spring, the most improved unit on the offense was the tight ends. And that was a concern going in the spring. And now coming out of spring, it's a strength.
What did the tight ends do to make that jump?
The mentality part and the physicality part. TP specifically just comes to mind because of his physical stature. This dude is 6'6", 250 plus. He looks exactly what you want him to look like. But when he came across, like when it's a divide zone player, he had an insert of he's blocking on the perimeter. If the years before, and I'm not saying it's anybody's fault, but the years before, he was just, it wasn't the violent nature that you wanted that position to have. And now with Coach Miller's, personality, the way he demands, those guys are kind of taking on his personality. And I call him kind of a psycho all the time. Like, Coach Miller is a psycho, but now those tight ends are taking over that personality. And TP kind of has that now a little bit to him. So he's always angry, which I love. And now I don't question his mental makeup when he's cutting across to block a defensive end.
Justin and Michael?
Well, and speaking of tight ends, you added Kean Burnett in the offseason, and I think he was committed to you when you were at USC.
That's right.
What do you remember about his recruitment, and what do you think he's going to add?
His recruitment was, he was a local kid that was a national recruit. I felt like he fit the offense that we were in. It was very similar to what we do now because he's long and can run. And I didn't want, like when I was at USC, the same thing that we do here is what we don't want to recruit just a 6'6", 260-pound extra O lineman that can run just a little bit better, right? Like if I'm going to put a tight end on the field, we better have value to throw him the football, okay? Because other than like a goal line situation, I want that guy to be circled on a depth chart or a game plan situation of like, hey, we got to know where this guy is at all times. And I thought Ken had that skill set. And so going through that recruitment, we got really, really close with him, really close with his parents, with Chester, his dad, who's obviously a former alum here. So we had a great relationship. I was a little bit disappointed when he decommitted and ended up coming here, but obviously full circle, it works out.
And then, as far as Braden Locke goes, he's a guy that could start at a lot of other places, but chose here. What do you like about him and his role as Noah's backup?
The most important part of his role is being a great teammate, and he's a great teammate. All right? You can't find a really good quarterback that doesn't have an ego, some sort of confident ego, right? Usually that confident ego makes them who they are. Like I've never been around a good quarterback that was just like, man, this guy's like the most humble person ever. Silently, he does have an ego, okay? So Locke has an ego, there's no doubt. Locke believes in himself and Locke knows he can play his position. But to play the role that he's playing in, to be the two, and to be ready at any given moment, you have to be a great teammate. And he's been a great teammate. He's mature, all right? He can process extremely well. Him and Sawyer Anderson is like attached to this dude's hip 24/7. And Sawyer's progress has been through the roof too, just because he's around Locke and Locke's taking him under his wing, teaching him everything he needs to know. So I'm excited about him. And like, if anything were to happen and he had to go in the game, I'd be very confident that we could still score points.
Michael and then Jason.
I'm sort of a follow-up to what Justin was asking about. When he came here, I think there were 2 quarterbacks in the room, and obviously you needed more. So when you set about the process of filling out the quarterback room, what were you looking for, and how do you kind of hope to structure it for both short-term and long-term?
Yeah, and it's a discussion I actually had with Coach Brendan when I first got here, because you have a really special quarterback that's your starter. But what happens if your starter is not available? Is your season over? So to me, developing and putting more importance into the backup quarterback role was huge for me. I go back to my Marshall experience. We brought a kid in that we thought was going to play. He ended up not. He ended up quitting. And then we brought another kid in that ended up beating out Braylon. But Braylon ended up being, he kept progressing, kept getting better, and ended up being our best player. Well, we won a conference championship. We won a conference championship in that league because technically our backup quarterback was really, really talented. And so I'll never go into a season feeling like, okay, my backup's just okay. Like he may not be ready, he's talented, but he's not ready. I'm always going to feel like I need to go into a season with a guy that can win games. And if he were to play, you don't have to change up everything that you're doing, and the team feels very strong that you can still go score points and win games.
Jason and then Damian.
How do you get it through to the offense that pace and urgency is important and critical to how your offense operates?
It's a process, just like you said, but it's an everyday. I mean, we preach it, we demand it every single day, right? And you guys have been at practice. You hear me. I'm chasing them down. Our coaches are bought in. They're chasing them down. We're chasing the ball with them. We're demanding them to have our tempo mechanics from a skill level to get the ball back to the middle official and get our eyes to the sideline and get the signal. We demand the quarterbacks to make sure that they're pushing the tempo as well. So it's just a demand every single day. And part of day one and part of fall camp, anytime you go from training to football, there's a little bit of difference of condition, right? And so you get to the later parts of today's practice, and now you got really challenging your mental, physical, and emotional toughness to get set and play fast. And then going through that, when you watch the tape, okay, here's an opportunity for us to correct it again and demand it again. And it's not just like taken lightly. It's not like, okay, guys, we got to play a little bit faster. No, it's intentionally like, listen, this is not the standard. This is not red line. Red line is 100%, 100 miles per hour, 100 miles per hour, 100% of the time. And that's how we're going to play on offense, right? So, especially when we're playing with tempo.
Damien and Jenna.
So Seth, you're talking about quarterbacks and ego. Noah is a very humble dude. What's an example that you can tell us about that ego of his coming to service?
If you were to ask which quarterback in the Big 12 is better than Noah, and you asked him that question, just you and him, his answer is himself. Right? So then that, to me, that's it. That's the ego part. He believes in himself so much that he thinks in his mind, which I agree, he's the best quarterback in the league. Right? And I think that was, we've talked about this. It was big for me going to the Peyton Manning Passing Academy when I was his age. When he got in there, we had a little discussion because he's such a good teammate. He's like, hey, coach, like, I'm going to miss days to go on this camp. I'm like, bro, you're going. Right? We're good. Like, you're an everyday dude. Like, you're going to that camp. And here's why. Because you're going to go to that camp and you're going to be, and because he does train with a quarterback training business called 3D QB, which you got Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford, Jared Goff, Bryce Young, Jackson Dart, all those guys training with 3D QB. So does Noah. So Noah's been around elite throwers before. But every now and then it's good for your confidence to go see the best in the country at his level, at his age, and you go throw next to him, and then you come back and you're like, yeah, it's on now. And that's what he did. He came back and he said, coach, it's on. That's what I needed. So that's the ego part to him, and that's what I love about him. Because he'll never show it, right? He's a great teammate. He's humble to the media, to his teammates, to his coaches, to anybody in the community. When he straps that helmet on, he believes he's the best in the world. And that's what I love about him.
Two more we'll do, Jenna, and finish with Justin.
Something Noah talked about too was trying to be a more vocal leader during the off season to, the offense and also these quarterbacks. How have you seen that kind of growth play out through the summer and beginning of fall?
That's the biggest growth. Like, I'm not surprised by the scheme part. I mean, we spent a lot of time on it, and this install, day one install, has been the most heavy install I've ever put in my entire career. Okay. And I put a lot on him strictly because I know Noah can make it right. Brady can make it right. But the biggest, and I wouldn't say it's a huge surprise to me, but it was a big challenge for him to really grow in that space. And he's grown so much that he's kicking me out of huddles now, right? So like, I'm hot and I'm ready to get after the boys. He can feel it. He'll kick me out and say, coach, I got it. And then he takes over. Next thing you know, we have a great period. That's how that works.
Finish up with Justin.
So with the group that you have right now, collectively on offense, what gives you hope that you guys can really execute in the red zone this year?
Well, that's a good question. I think, I really believe in, Coach Miller and myself, like, we're constantly auditing like what we do. So it's like through this summer, in our off time, is trying to like find like what scheme, what plays, what gives you an advantage down there, right? Why are people scoring? Why are people not? So I think readjusting that every year gives you a chance. And then if you have a quarterback that can throw with accuracy and precision, because there's tight windows down there, that gives you a chance too. So I feel confident that Noah, again, I know I'm going back to Noah now, we got a lot to prove, me and Noah, so I'm talking a big game here. I don't want this to be misunderstood. We both know we got a big challenge ahead of ourselves, and we know we got a lot to prove. But at the end of the day, I feel very confident that we can score in the red zone strictly because the quarterback is so precise and quickly to get through his progression, and he can fit balls in tight windows and be very accurate.